Welcome to our conversation today at the Indian Cultural Forum. Recently, we lost a very significant figure in our cultural life, Soumitra Chatterjee. And though he acted in Bengali films, in Bengali theatre, was part of the literary world there and the theatrical world, he has actually traveled across India through his films in particular. And to talk about the man and his legacy, his body of work as part of his legacy, but also the framework of values that guided his work in life, we have with us two equally versatile cultural practitioners, Aparna Sen, actor, director, many other award-winning achievements, and Samik Bandyopadhyay, translator, critic of theatre as well as film, publisher, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for being with us today. Aparna, I thought we would start with you because though Soumitra Chatterjee had such a rich range of cultural practice, that he's of course best known for his memorable roles in Bengali films. And the two of you had a very wide and diverse association over the years. I think first as perhaps he was mentor, you have to tell us about that, and then as part of a jodi, and then you were his director. So could you tell us about this growing, developing professional relationship?
Well, to start with, I was besotted with him. I mean, all of us in class 8 in Modern High School totally fell in love with him after Opu Shongsha, because he was just, I don't think Opu Shongsha could have been made if Satyajit Ray had not found Soumitra Chatterjee, because there was no other person that could fit Opu that well. But, I mean, of course, I was a child. I was only 14. But after that, as we started acting together, actually, he and his wife became friends of my parents, and I was not really given any importance, being considered a youngster. But gradually, as I grew older, I went to college, got married, etc., etc. And Soumitra and I started being romantically paired more and more. The early films like Akash Kusum and Baksho Badal were somehow not great hits. But after that, I did a Bengali, rather bad, I think, Bengali adaptation of The Idiot called Oporichito, where there was Soumitra Chatterjee and Uttam Kumar. So these two great matinee idols, and me, a still very gangly, awkward creature who didn't have any confidence in her acting at all. But, the strange thing is that the director used to tease me saying, you seem comfortable enough in front of Uttam Kumar, but what happens to you when Soumitra comes? You and Soumitra are sharing the screen. So I said, I don't know, I think it's because I call him Kaka, which means uncle. I'm completely in awe of him, and I just feel that he'll scold me any moment. But actually, he did mentor me a great deal without even perhaps knowing it. Initially, he told me certain things like, how I should not be, one part of my head should be aware of the machines and use them to enhance my performance. And then one part of my brain should completely forget about them and just emote. So that's more easily said than done. And in the beginning, I was constantly thinking about which part of my head is doing what. So it was not very easy. But after that, I gradually understood what he was saying. And he also taught me a lot of footwork, which is very important in acting, because, when you, after the director has choreographed the scene, the actors have to come and take their positions at various places in the set in a very effortless manner, but taking the light, being sure that the mic is sort of, getting your voice and you're presenting the right angle to the camera and all of that. So you can only do that if you know where to put your foot when. Shouldn't put it in your mouth, So this is what something he taught me, and something that stood me in very good stead later on as a director. Because now I can tell, whenever an actor is having a problem taking his or her position, I know that they're probably not getting their footwork right. So I can demonstrate and show them. But by the time I got to direct him, oh, he used to tease me a lot, He used to tease me a lot, saying, oh, you big director, you don't think me worthy of casting and all of that. But it was all in jest. But somewhere, I felt guilty because I said, unless I have a really meaty role to offer you, how can I cast you? You are a legend. Finally, in a film called Paromita Ekdin, which the English title of which is House of Memories, I cast him in a small role, but I think a very effective role. And he was supposed to be a very romantic person, but a failed lover and a bit of a coward. But, I've seen people like that often among, our associates. And I wanted a wave of hair to fall on his forehead, and his hair wasn't, he didn't have that much hair then that he could have a wave falling on his forehead. So I said, we might have to think of a wig, and he wasn't too keen on that. And then he finally gave in, and then, he was very nice. He talked to the makeup person, and he said, she's been wanting this for a long time. This is her vision, and it's up to you and me together to try and realize that vision. So, he, having worked with Ray and Mrinal Sen and Tapun Sinha and all these people, Tarun Mazumdar, he understood the importance of the director's role in the whole setup, I think. And I really didn't have any trouble with him. It was, first of all, he didn't have to be told much. Being a very sensitive and perceptive person, he understood. He understood the script immediately. And then later on, sometimes, when once in a while I wanted it done another way, I would go up to him and usually whisper with great diffidence, saying, that was good. But will you do it? Try it my way once. And he used to say, why are you feeling so shy? Just come and tell me. You're the director. Come on. What's the matter with you? So I really didn't have any problems at all.
I wondered also about his relationship with the language. Now, this is something so important in our multilingual world, that your relationship with the language in which you work is something that's really important. And I think he must have had a particular relationship with Bangla to work with the language in so many media. And I wonder if you would have any thoughts on that.
I think so, because first of all, he was an excellent elocutionist. His pronunciation and everything. See, he trained in theater, and theater gives you that kind of training, where your enunciation and all that becomes rather perfect. And then you have to temper that according to your role. And he was able to do that. I mean, it depended on the role he was playing. There were roles in which he spoke Bengali with an accent, like in Obhijan, or, he spoke Bengali with a different kind of accent, say in Oshoni Shanket. In Opu, when he was playing Opu in Opu Shangshar, he was speaking with a normal accent. And, during his stage performances, then he was also very careful about projecting his voice. And I also cast him in an English film, a small role in 15 Park Avenue. He was not too keen to do that. He said, I don't speak English well. I said, but you're not supposed to be a Britisher in the film. You're an Indian. So you can speak in your Indian accent. I think it's perfectly normal. And of course, he did it. He was very kind. I think it was a small role, but he was kind enough to do it for me. And I think that he learned to use language according to what was demanded of him, like in plays, in what we call Shruti Natok in Bengali. I did a lot of plays on stage with him, reading out plays. There he used a certain way of speaking. If he was reading Rabindranath Tagore, he would speak in a different way. So I think he had it all worked out.
So the language and the voice and the face, I think. Talking of theatre, Samik, you, of course, that's exactly where you come in. Though he was better known across India for his film, I think it's really important to talk about his acting career actually beginning in theatre. And how would you assess his role in theatre in terms of not just acting, but also playwriting and direction?
Now, to answer your question, I'll bring in another element which has just been touched, but let's work it in also. He was a poet in his own right, and quite an important poet at a point of time in Bangla literature when a whole new movement of poetry had emerged in the 50s. And a group of very exciting poets, young at that time, people like Shokti Chatterjee and Shonil Gangopadhyay, they had emerged, and they had emerged with a kind of agenda to throw off the burden of the Tagorean heritage and look to the American new poetry of the period of the beats, the beat generation, and that whole ceremony of defiance that marked the American poetry of the period. Soumitra started at the same time, but traveled a very, very different path, where his commitment to the Bangla language, trying to capture the entire history, the development of the language, going back even beyond Tagore, reaching Tagore, crossing Tagore. So playing with the language, the different tones of the words, not just as enunciation, but the tones in the language, in the words themselves. All that fascinated him all his life. So when he was acting on the stage, he was not drawing just on tones and modulations, but going deeper into the language and drawing from those depths of the language. The articulation was an articulation of the language rather than the articulation of an actor. That's one thing. And the other thing that he loved in theatre, and even with his great commercial success in cinema, you'd go back to theatre again and again in different conditions, on different terms, where he was not earning enough. He would forego his normal fees to be in theatre because he felt that as an actor, and particularly in the use of language, in the speech, to be more precise, he felt that cinema was a one-time affair in the sense that once it's shot, it's over, and you can watch the film and you may feel even uncomfortable with what you have done as an actor, but there's no way to change it or do anything about it. But theatre allowed you that freedom, that if you are performing for 300 nights or even more, as he did when he joined the professional theatre, he had the opportunity of changing, developing, replaying. And in the process, a character would even change. I remember occasions when I had seen a performance in the early stage while the play had started. And then about 50 shows later, you'd ring me up and say, why did you come and see it again? It has changed. I've done certain different things. And we could discuss these things. So this position of being able to treat a character creatively, more challengingly, more developingly, that was the thing that drew him to theatre and kept him loyal to theatre till almost the end of his life.